One of the most common problems when you're working on a project is file management. As the project grows, so too the files, so you don't often know who uploaded which file version is the current one, which one should you use, who shared it the last time, and so much more. So the bigger the project gets, this gets more and more complicated. In today's video, I'm going to show you a tool which helps mitigate all of that, and it's called Blueberry AI. Imagine a typical workflow on a project. You receive a bunch of files, you store them in your Google Drive, and you want to quickly preview it to understand which one should you use, which one is the one you used last time, and so on. So here is a typical Google Drive folder structure that you can sort of find on every single project that you work. You have a bunch of files here. You have AI, you have PSD files, you have images, but the biggest problem is you cannot preview anything. So we have OBJ file, which doesn't have any textures on it, for example, but I cannot preview it. So is this the gaming mouse I'm actually looking for, or is it a different model? Maybe a black color has been applied, previously it has been blue. I just don't know. Until I download it, open it up on my machine, slowing my workflow. I don't even know if this is the correct model until I download it and preview it. Here we have a homepage as an SVG. SVG is readily available format online, but you couldn't even preview this file. Then we have AI, we have Photoshop. So if I double click here, I can see it here, but I don't really know, is this the version I was looking for or not? Same story with AI, so I can kind of see this, but not really. I cannot interact with it. It's just a flattened image for the preview. Blueberry AI is a digital asset management tool, and it's something like a Google Drive on steroids. What it can do is help you not just upload, store, and share your files, but also preview them in real time. It's so powerful that you can actually view and preview 3D files directly in your browser, and this is extremely helpful for anyone who has ever worked with a 3D file. But the biggest benefit here is the ability to preview it in the browser. So you don't have to download the file, see if it's the correct version, upload it to Spline, see if it is or if it isn't, then continue working there. You can do it directly in Blueberry AI. You can use AI semantic search and image search to help you find the image faster, and this is also useful for just regular images. It's super secure and it's super efficient because you don't actually use your machine to do it, you use the browser to do it. Now here I am in Blueberry AI, and straight away you can see how much more visual this is compared to something like Google Drive. Straight away you can see preview of your files. Here as labels you can see which type of format is it, and straight away you can understand what everything kind of is. Inside of folders you can create another folder, and then inside of that folder another folder. You can see where this is going. Much more cooler than that is if I, for example, select this file, it picks up colors which have been used in that particular file. In this case this is just a JPEG image, so it does give you a lot of options right away. Then if it's linkable, you can link it to somewhere externally. You can add a description. You have a file overview. You can see in which type of folder that there it is. You can see the dimensions, you can see the styles, extensions, and the tags which have been added automatically by Blueberry AI as soon as I uploaded this asset to this library. So straight away you can browse through these different files. We have audio files, we have video files, we have PSD files, AI files, and various different 3D files. And this is what I mentioned at the start. Unlike here, where you don't really see what the file is, and if you double click on it you have to download it and export it and do whatever with it. So when you use a file, you can double click on it, it's going to download and parse the model, which means it's going to show you the model and show you how it looks like directly inside of Blueberry AI. So once again, unlike this where you have to download and open it up externally, here you can do all of it in Blueberry AI. So once it's finished loading, you can see how the model looks like once it's loaded. So it broke it down into various different layers that you have inside of this project. What you can also do is rotate, you can zoom in, you can interact with it just like you would in your favorite 3D tool such as Blender, Max, or Spline, for example. So You can see the tools which have been used. You can see materials. If you're stocking different materials inside of this project, you can apply them here, base colors, meshes, lights. You can also store lights, change them here. So you have unlimited number of different controls that you can use on your model directly from here. What's also great about it is you can leave your comment here. So for example, this model is ready for development. Please use it. And when I go ahead and send this comment, somebody who comes to this file, who is invited to this file, can see this comment and they can start using this model. So straight away you can see how much more advanced this is compared to this when it comes to previewing your files, using your files, and just interacting with them in your team. A folder like this is super easy to set up. You create an account, add a company or a team. You can invite team members here, or you can do it later. And by default, you get a 14 days free trial with all of the options available right away. This is enough to get a buy-in from your client and team, as well as to speed up your workflow while doing so. Then you can get a feature overview and you can get right into the tool. First thing you should do is create a folder, give it a name, and you can assign it to existing folder as a parent or keep it on its own. When you have a team, you can also create permissions for who has access to which folder or file type. Then you can upload your files or a folder to this folder. I'm going to upload this homepage design as SVG, exported from Figma. When you are uploading an entire folder, you can see the progress of each file, see subfolder contents, and click on the file to get a preview while it's uploading. You can also see the folder overview, size, tags, and date created. When uploading design files such as Photoshop or AI, it's cool that you can see an instant preview of the file, shape, and size just by clicking on it. When your files are uploaded, you can expand this, for example, and go into deeper folders, which are the folders which are nested inside of your main folder. You can click on it and then you can go back to it. So for example, if I click here and if I select this JPEG, as I already shown you, so it contains a bunch of information here, but I can also do this with other files. So for example, MP4 file, you can also see the version here, which I'm going to touch upon in just a second, file overview, so which file type it is, and also tags, as I mentioned previously. Same story for the project files, for example. So this is the Premiere Pro project file. Same story for the audio, so you can see the audio here and you can play it directly from here. So it plays it in real time and then you can see and check if this is the correct version. Same story for these files, for example, for AI or for Photoshop, and what I just mentioned. So it opens the file, it takes the colors, the main colors from your file, and also it gives you the tags. So when you are searching for a file later, then you can find these tags quite easily. So for example, if I enter a robotics tag in my search, it's going to find this file and then immediately I can open it up and I can continue where I previously left off. But what I also want to show you is the SVG file which I have for the homepage version of the design which I created here. So what I did is I started with AuraChat because we have this conference about AI, future technologies, robotics, and stuff like that. I created it in AuraChat. I came up with a version 1, included everything like a pricing, sign up form, footer, event schedule, who are the speakers, all of that. Then from there, I moved it on into Figma for the first version. But as you can see here, we had some issues with the spacing. We had some issues with the images. The client said, for example, that this first price doesn't really work, so we uploaded it. Also for the footer, something was missing here, so we decided to kick it out from here, and then we came up with the version number 2. But because here I uploaded the first version, there is also an additional version of this file. So what you can do is switch back to version management. So version 1 is the one which I uploaded. You can see who and when it was uploaded. You can modify all of this, and then you can go to version 2. So this is SVG previewing directly inside of here, and it doesn't support Figma file natively just yet. Hopefully the team is going to include this feature in the future, but for now you can simply go here to Figma, go here to export and then just export as an SVG. You can upload it here, and then you can also leave comments on this particular file. So in version 1, for example, I'm going to leave it as it is, but here in version 2, I will say fixed. Let me move myself here. So fixed pricing, spacing, and footer issues. Please see in this version. This version should be used for development. So you can indicate which particular version this is. You can send this comment, and here you can see the comment inside of this version. So when you switch back to here, you can kind of see that there are some comments. When you click there, you can see the comment is there. What you can also do is switch back in version management, for example, and just hold your control or command and scroll mouse, or you can use these zoom in commands, for example, and then just click and drag so they can see. For example, we switched the date because it's for next year, so they can see what has been changed. This has been changed. So you can include comments just like in your Figma file, for example, directly inside of here. Why is this useful? Because your collaborators can leave links from Blueberry AI files. So for example, for background images or something like that. So let's say here in this section for the form, I want to have a background image maybe blended into the background or something. They can leave comment directly inside of here. You can take it to Figma. You can go back here and just include that image directly inside of here. So there is a lot of possibilities for collaboration. There is a lot of possibilities for time saving, especially with these complex files which change over time. So you can keep the version control really neat and tidy, and you can continue collaboration with your team quite easily. One of the biggest problems with using tools such as Google Drive, for example, is when you want to search for a file. Again, we're going back to the main problem here. You don't really have a preview. You don't really know which file it is, which file type it is. And also, if you're not using the correct name from the file, you often cannot find it. But here, using AI search, you can quite easily find it. So for example, I can see that this image name contains an angle. So what I'm going to do is just type in an angle just to show you what it can find. So it found this, but it also found this because this drone is at an angle and it recognized it. It included it as a tag, so we can quite easily find it here. What I also want is to find a phone, for example. So when I type this in, it's going to search for devices. We have a smartphone here, and if I quickly select this and move myself out of the view, you can see right here that we are using a smartphone. So it took the phone from the smartphone name. We have a smartphone tag right here. So it found this smartphone based on what I was looking for. So it's super quick and easy to use this. You can switch between file, you can switch between tags and see all of the assets in your library which have this particular tag called phone. So if you go into the search settings, you can find even deeper search. So by file size, by file type, by shape, by size. You can even folder filter, you can tag filter. So there is a lot of different options which you can use just for finding the right files really quickly. Again, you don't even have to download it as you do in something like Google Drive. You can find it here directly. You can, for example, click on it, see if it's the correct one, and then you can move along and use it directly from here. Now, it's great that you have all of these files, but once you have them, how do you actually use them? Well, it's super simple. All you have to do is go right here to the plugins. If you want to connect Blueberry AI with external tools, so you have this plugin store. What you have to do is install, for example, Google Chrome extension if you want to use your files in Google Chrome. And let's say I want to use them in Figma because they don't have a Figma plugin. I should definitely install Google Chrome plugin because it allows for easier file sharing. Then in Photoshop, for example, you should really install it. If you're using Unity for your 3D files, you should really install that. But for just simple file usage, what you can do with your files is, if we go back to our files right here, and let's say this image. So when I select this image, right click on it, what I can do is share it with other people in my team, and I can of course specify who I want to share it with. I can download it, I can download and open it, but you should install the plugin, for example, for the Photoshop. You can click publish if you want to publish it directly to your team, or say that the project has been completed or stuff like that. But what I will also do is, for example, copy to clipboard, because if I switch to Photoshop where I have this flyer, what I will do is simply paste this image on top of everything. For example, I will move it at the bottom like so, and position it just behind all of these elements. And let's say that I want to place it as an overlay, just for example. And then this top line I don't really like, so let's scale it down a little bit and hit E for eraser tool, enlarge it a little bit and just blend it like so. So again, benefits of this is you're not downloading files directly to your machine. You can use your files in between these different tools, especially if you have extensions. Like for example, here I use this Share Creator extension for Adobe Photoshop. So what does this mean is, if I have some assets saved inside of my library in Photoshop, for example, colors or typography or images, they are going to show up directly in Blueberry AI, making this connection even simpler and even more seamless. Project managers love to know the status of their files. So when we are here in Blueberry AI, what we can also do is, instead of looking at the list view or the grid view, we can change to project management. And inside of project management, you can introduce as many status points as you want inside of this like Kanban board. And for example, you can see all files here, and then we have a planning stage, for example, then we have a production stage, and then we have delivered stage. So everybody involved in this team, in this project, can understand at all times where each file is in the project pipeline, so they can understand if they can use it, if they cannot use it, and where should they use it for. You can manage who you are sharing your files with, but also who shared the files with you. So here in the share management, you can see who shared the files with you, but also who you shared your files with. Your project manager, for example, or your team leader can understand at all times who shared which project with who. What you can also do is generate assets here. So you can generate assets from text or sketch to image, for example. Here you can choose a model. So Share Creators AI is the default model they are using, but you can also switch it to Midjourney, you can switch it to DALL-E, and then you can use different settings right here. So for example, if you want a square image, if you want an image which is great for, let's say, Instagram stories, and then here you can check these settings for specific file dimensions, for example, and then finally here you enter the prompt. What's great about it is, under free plan you get 500 points, and one generation equals 12 points. So even for this, check out this tool. Make sure to explore this AI features, because what it's doing is it's using settings which it has in the background for all of the files which you uploaded, and then it kind of helps you shape your generations in that direction. And you have all of these cool plugins, and more are to come, to make this tool even more versatile, to make this tool even more interconnected. And here in my plugins you can see which type of plugin you're using and which type of plugin you have been using latest. As you can see, there is a lot that you can do in Blueberry AI, not just by holding all of your files in one place, but easily preview them, easily share them, connect with other social media networks, for example, with Google Ads account, and it just gives you much more command and much more control and security over something like Google Drive. Give it a test drive, because they have 14 days free trial. It's free to get started, it's free to try, as I already mentioned with AI. Give it a go, because I really think that this tool is amazing. Thank you for watching, and stay organized on your projects. Take care.